Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill from Susan's in the Garden. I don't know if you saw my recent video, which was the garden season intro for the 2020 growing season, but in it I had asked all of you what types of topics would you like me to cover in this year's videos, and the response has been awesome. Thank you so much. I got all sorts of great ideas, which you will be seeing this year, and a few things that I saw were people asking me, we want to know what you're growing in your garden this year. And I'm very flattered, and I would love to share that with you today. But the first thing we're going to do is head up to my office because I want to show you a couple of things on my website that you need to know about. The first thing I wanted to show you is a couple of resources on my website that you can use to refer to later. So first of all, in case you didn't know, I have a website that is susansinthegarden.com. And if you go to the guides menu, that's where I have put all kinds of resources for you to use. And they are all listed alphabetically. So if you go down to Susan's Garden 2020 and click on it, you will see everything that I am growing this year in my vegetable garden by the crop, the variety name or cultivar, and then all kinds of online seed sources for those seeds, just to make it really easy for you to coordinate your seed ordering. Of course, I always like to recommend that folks check their local independent garden center first, because a lot of times they'll have exactly what you're looking for, and then it saves you on shipping. Now, if you go back up to the guides menu, you will also find information on when to start seeds. Now, if you live in zones 5 or 6, I'm in zone 5B, what will happen is you'll see exact dates of when I start things. Like here's artichokes, and I start them on February 15th. So there's very specific information based on our region. However, if you live in another zone, no problem, because again, if you go back to the guides menu and you go to seed starting, when to start vegetables, all zones, that is for you. And the way I designed it is I list the crop and the number of weeks prior to your last expected frost for your region, as far as when I start them. And so, for example, I have information on artichokes, and it gives you some information on when to start the seeds. If you have a crop that you're growing, that really does better if you sow it directly out in the garden. That information is here too. So I really wanted to make sure that you looked under the guides menu either to see the list of what I'm growing, because that's what I'm going to cover today. And if you're wondering when to start your seeds, either use the seed starting when to plant vegetables all zones guide, or the seed starting when to plant vegetables for zones 5 and 6. Okay, let's get down to business. Okay, I was trying to think of the best way to do this so I won't bore you to tears. So I'm going to try to be really brief, but just quickly show you some of the things we're growing this year. And I'll let you know when they're a new variety for our garden. And the very first one, Tabor artichoke, is brand new for our garden. You can see I got it from High Mowing Seeds. And you know, in my region, I have to grow artichokes as annuals, which is really frustrating. And so these ones in particular have been touted to produce well in the first year, and that's exactly what I need, because there's probably not going to be a second year for those plants in my garden. The artichokes are about 4.5 inches in diameter, which is a nice size, and I think they're going to be great. We love to grow basil, especially for pesto, but I love it throughout the summer months. And this is something in our region that I can't plant until approximately Memorial Day if I plant them directly out in the garden. Anyway, the type that we like the best is the Italian large leaf basil. I've tried other types, but this makes absolutely the best pesto. I love to grow pole beans, and my absolute favorite variety is Musica. Sometimes it's referred to as Spanish Musica. I can get the seeds from Territorial Seed and also from Renee's. But what I've been doing, because it's not a hybrid, is I'm saving the seeds each year, and so I probably have enough seeds to supply all of Spokane. But these are very prolific, very flavorful, and of course I love to grow them on an arbor over a path in our raised bed garden, and they're just awesome. My husband and I are crazy about beets, and for the last few years I've been growing cylindra or cylindrical, and they're very easy to find. These are from Ed Hume seeds, but you can find them at all sorts of places. They are very productive, really nice roots, and as you might guess, they're in a cylindrical shape. They're very dark, and that's good because you get all kinds of good nutrients from them, and I definitely recommend them. This year I'm growing a new to us variety of broccoli called Millennium. I heard a lot of great things about it, and I decided I wanted to try it in my own garden. It's supposed to do well with all kinds of conditions, and it came from Fedco Seeds. This is my first year of ordering from them. For carrots, I'm growing two different varieties. One is called Mokum, and it's one that my sister grew last year and did great for her. So I definitely wanted to add that to our garden. And then on the right is Scarlet Nantes. That is very easy to find through all different kinds of seed sources, and they do so well in our region, and I think they're really quite reliable for most gardens. Yes, I grow celery every single year, and I choose Tango because that is really good for northern gardens. The great thing about growing your own celery is that you harvest a stalk at a time, you don't waste anything, and you can freeze what's left over at the end of the season. My husband and I have been growing Sweetness bicolor corn for the last few years. The seeds come from Ed Hume, and the corn is absolutely delicious and very prolific. As of the past 2 years, I have absolutely fallen in love with lunchbox cucumbers from Burpee. I have not seen any other sources for them. They're very easy to grow, and they are absolutely the best cucumbers I've ever eaten. This will be the second year that I'm growing a leafy type of dill called Ducat. I got the seeds from Renee's, and it is perfect for going with all the fish that my husband catches. Last year, my sister Ann grew Super Schmelz kohlrabi and served it to me, and it is absolutely delicious. It forms huge bulbs, but they don't get woody, and so I thought I have got to put that in my garden this year. I haven't grown leeks for a couple of years, but I do grow it frequently. And I came across this Bulgarian giant cultivar from the Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Catalog, and I thought, wow, that looks amazing. So I decided that I needed to try it this year. You can see I've got a few different types of lettuce planned for this year. A few are tried and true, and others are new to me. The Salad Blend Red Wing Lettuce Mix is new. That's from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and it looked really tasty. I also am growing Butter Crunch from them, which is an old favorite of mine, as well as the Bronze Beauty, which was gorgeous in the garden last year and very tasty. I also am crazy about red sails, which is very easy to find, as well as Flashy Troutback. All of them are just gorgeous in a salad, so you might as well have some beauty as well, right? You would think I wouldn't be able to grow melons in this cold climate, but actually you can, provided you give them a little bit of babying and choose shorter season varieties. I have had fantastic luck with the Ha Ogan Honeydew melon. It is absolutely delicious, as well as the Tuscan Napoli, which is from Renee's garden. A new one that I'm trying this year as well is Lambkin, which is a Piel de Sapo melon. It sounds like it's fantastic, and so I'll keep you posted on that one. This big bag is full of green arrow pea seeds, and we have grown them for the last couple of years using the gutter pea method. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, do a search on my YouTube channel because it is one of the coolest things ever. Anyway, they are very prolific. This is a shelling pea, and we absolutely love them. My husband Bill is the pepper growing expert in our family, and so he chooses the different varieties for each year's garden. For sweet peppers, he's growing Marconi Rosso, which he's certainly grown before, and it's fabulous. He's also growing Jimmy Nardello, and a new one for this year is Aconcagua. So you'll have to stay tuned on that. For hot peppers, he is growing early jalapeno and Highlander. He's grown both of those before and been very happy with them. And just to let you in on a little secret, I'm going to be writing a column about his pepper growing tips very early in my writing season, so look for it at about the end of February or early March. I enjoy growing sugar pumpkins for making pies, and I think you can't beat the New England pie pumpkins, so that's why I've chosen this one from Johnny's. You might recall that I grew rutabagas for the very first time last year, a different variety, and they were absolutely fantastic. So we decided to grow them again, and I decided to try Joan rutabagas. And that's because they are supposed to have spectacular flavor, and I thought, well, it's good to try a different variety and see how it does. We both enjoy spinach, and two varieties that I really like are Monstru de Viraflay and Matador. Both of them are very cold tolerant, and I typically will grow them in my hoop house during the winter months and sometimes in the spring as well. There are two types of summer squash that I love growing each year, one of which you can't see because I'm waiting for the order to come in, but it's Clarimore, and that is a light-skinned zucchini that is very flavorful and stays quite tender. The other, which you can see here, is a trombone zucchini, which is Trombetta di Albenga. I get the seeds each year from Renee's garden, and in addition to being rather novel, they are really flavorful, and they have a taste that is like artichoke hearts. So I absolutely love growing them, and you grow them on a trellis because they are a vining type of zucchini. Definitely worth trying. Winter squash are a crop that I really enjoy growing every year. And on the top you'll see Cushaw, which is a southern squash that grows really well here in the Northwest. And Delicata also grows very well. It grows quickly. They are a nice size, smaller squash, and they are really delicious. Now, two new types of winter squash that I'm growing this year are Potimarron, and those seeds are from Seed Savers Exchange, and Autumn Frost from High Mowing Seeds. Both of them sounded great, and I always love trying something new. When it comes to tomatoes, you might think I'm in a rut, but there are certain varieties that I absolutely have to grow every year. And one of them is the famous Sun Gold cherry tomato. I've tried other kinds of cherry tomatoes, and I keep coming back to Sun Gold because they are so delicious. Another one that I've been growing for quite a few years that's a slicing tomato is Chef's Choice Orange. It's a little bit longer season, but they are bright orange fruits, and they are the tastiest, most succulent tomatoes that I've ever made a tomato sandwich with during the summer. On the bottom you can see I've got Gilberti paste tomato. Those are for making sauces and salsas. I grew them for the first time last year, and they were fantastic and huge, I should add. So the new one this year is from Seed Savers Exchange. It's called Federle Tomato. This is also a paste tomato, so I'm going to grow one bed of Gilberti and one bed of Federle. And apparently the Federle are about 7 inches long, which is amazing. And so I thought, well, I've got to give those a try. Stay tuned. And last but not least is a turnip I have never grown before. It's called Silky Sweet Hybrid, and it's from Burpee. They sent me some sample turnips, believe it or not, along with this packet of seeds. We tried them and they were fantastic. So I thought, why not? Let's add them to the garden. Okay, that's the rundown for this year's vegetable garden. I hope it gave you some ideas for your own garden. I'll see you next time.